Hey everybody, it's Dr. Julie Quinn here, and I want to share you some information about information on the web. As a collegiate researcher, it's your responsibility to find important information that is presented on websites and through trustworthy news sources and hopefully in peer-reviewed academic journal articles. And this example is just meant to show you that not all information that you find on the web is created equally, right? Or presented in a fair manner. So I'm starting this discussion by showing you this website, the Open Source Systems, Science and Solutions website. They are evaluating this organization, and let me tell you who they are first. Let's go to their About page. The OSS Foundation is focused on facilitating research and solution development pertaining to multidisciplinary work in key areas of human endeavor that pertain to sustainable capacity and living systems of Earth. So, that wordy mouthful this is an organization built by scientists that are focused on evaluating data on the web and evaluating information for its fairness and for its clarity. So Rasmus Benstedt is a Norwegian, he's with the Norwegian Meteorological Institute, Department of Model and Climate Analysis in Oslo, Norway. He does work on climate research. Justin Lancaster focuses on physics. If you look at him, he has his PhD from the Scripps Institution of Oceanography. And he works with Carbon Dioxide Research Group. He served on the staff of the U.S. Senate Committee on Environment and Public Works, and so on and so forth. So when you go to a website and you look at the About Us and they tell you who they are and they shared their scientific credentials with you, for example, Ralph Keeling is a professor of geochemistry in the Geosciences Research Division of the Scripps Institution of Oceanography. John Reisman is the founder of this organization. And you can click and you can take a look at, he's worked at these particular universities. His focus is analysis and system science on global issues. Monica Reisman is with the Swiss Center for Emergency Disaster and Recuse Medicine. So when you have an organization that tells you what their goal is and who they are and that their idea, their plan or their focus is to establish sort of a foothold on the web for realistic, reliable science. We know that it doesn't say .org, it does say .us, so you have to look at the About and you have to look at the Our View. Not all websites will have an Our View, but that the things that they're researching, how they define particular words and everything, gives you a better understanding of who this organization is and the information that they're about to provide readers. So I came across this article that they are talking about, and this is a great way of debunking numbers on the web. Okay, so we've already established that this is OSS is a trustworthy organization, and that there's been a number floating around the web a lot, that 31,000 scientists say that there's no convincing evidence of global warming. That should be relieving for a lot of readers, right? If they saw on the web that tens of thousands of scientists, like there's no proof of global warming. But the OSS has decided to investigate that number and that claim. Not all websites will tell you where their data comes from or their methodology for collecting that data or how recent it is. But look at the information that OSS found. So that number, 31,000 scientists reject global warming and say no convincing evidence that humans can or will cause global warming. Polls show that scientists working in the field of climate science and publishing papers on the topic, 97% of those climate scientists surveyed believe that global average temperatures have increased, and 97% believe that human activity is a significant factor in those changes. What is the significance of these numbers? This should be sort of confusing for readers. Wait a minute, 31,000 is a big number of scientists, but yet the people who study climate science, 97% say, no, there is something happening and a significant cause is human action. While polls of scientists working in the field indicate strong general agreement that this is happening, 31,000 scientists say there's no convincing evidence. So let's explore where these numbers come from. Don't take any number you see on the web at face value. The claim originates from the Oregon Institute of Science and Medicine, which has an online petition, which means you can go onto the online web, or go on the online web, you can go onto their website and you can sign their petition. Here's the petition itself. Here's the image. We urge the United States government to reject the global warming agreement that was written in Kyoto, Japan in December of 1997 and other similar proposals. The proposed limits on greenhouse gases would harm the environment, hinder the advance of science and technology, and damage the health and welfare of mankind. There is no convincing, nice qualifier there, scientific evidence that human release of carbon dioxide, methane, or other greenhouse gases is causing or will, in the foreseeable future, nice qualifier, cause catastrophic heating of the Earth's atmosphere and disruption of the Earth's climate. Moreover, so they're doubling down, there is substantial scientific evidence that increases in atmospheric CO2 produce many beneficial effects upon natural plant and animal environments. So this is a petition that the website created, and to participate in the petition, one only needed to mark a check mark that you sign it and you check it and you state what your degree is in whatever your field, your name, your street, your city, state, and zip, and of course a little blurb in the corner. You have specialized scientific experience in. Unfortunately, this means that anybody could sign the petition with a fake name and submit it to this institute. 31,000 of these came in. Did the organization fact check every person's degree? Was it in climate science? Were the people real? Who knows? But note as well, somebody getting a Bachelor of Science in physics does not make them a physics researcher or a scientist, right? So just by check marking that somebody has a particular degree does not mean that they are an expert in their field. Now, if they have a master's or PhD and they're working in research in their field, yes, that's closer. But the concern about this is that this is not a scientific way to gather information. This is not good methodological approach. They couldn't verify that any one of these were real. I mean, they didn't say that they went in and they looked up everybody's credentials or that they contacted these people for more information. There's no way to know how many of these people actually earned a degree in the discipline they said they earned it in. Okay? More importantly, look at some of the signatures that they did share. 10,000 are engineers. 3,000 are medical doctors. Almost 3,000 are biology, biochemistry, and agriculture. 4,800 were chemistry and chemical engineering. But without formal training in climate science, the level of understanding remains unknown. Note, only 12% of the 31,000 are indicated to have an affiliation with atmosphere, earth, and environmental science, but there's no indication that they work in climate science. So people are submitting their feelings without any sort of documentation and backup to confirm whether that data is reliable. And so what you have to do now is you have to think about and understand, well, what the experts in the field, we always in academic research want to go to the experts in the field to get the most reliable, most updated information. And even in this website that I'm showing you now, this information is older. I would be really curious to sort of see past 2009, the scientific consensus on climate change. So we're not going to rely on OSS Foundation by itself. It's an interesting addition to the conversation, but we want to look and find Pew Research data within the last 3 or 4 years, hopefully, on how do scientists feel about this. So this is a good first stop. But remember, this is why I want you reading .orgs and .edus, and I will train you on how to use the library to find peer-reviewed data, so experts writing to other experts in these fields. So let's take one quick look at the Oregon Institute of Science and Medicine's website. The first thing you see here is that the website is, it's old-fashioned, but it doesn't have the most functional website design. And if you look at the faculty, there's only a few faculty of this particular group. Carl Boehm is an electrical engineer. Jane Orient is a physician. So they're not studying climate science. And this Association of American Physicians and Surgeons, I mean, that sounds pretty fancy, right? Their website, if you take a look at their website, their voice for private physicians, they say they're nonpartisan professional association. But if you look at some of the information, about this group on the web, the Association of Physicians and Surgeons, what you're going to find is a slightly different story. It's not the American Medical Association, which has like hundreds of thousands of members. But what you'll find is that through other website sources like The Atlantic, it's a group that is anti-government. There are only a couple of hundred members, and that they are considered sort of a very small political think tank. They deny HIV, they connect abortion and breast cancer, and they support Andrew Wakefield's flawed and disproven arguments about the connection between vaccines and autism. So you've got to be really careful about some of the websites that you use. And just because somebody says that they're with these associations, you got to dig a little bit deeper and make that determination that that information is trustworthy. So I wouldn't rely on a physician to tell me about climate science, or a professor of electrical engineering to talk about climate science. But I would rely on climate scientists to talk about climate science. And so not all information on the web is created equally. I wanted to show this to you because I think this is really important information to help you with media literacy. When you find a piece of data in an article and the source does not say specifically about how that data was generated or where it came from, treat it as unreliable. Okay. If an organization is well known, for example, if you're talking about UNICEF, if you're talking about the World Bank, I mean, there's some, it hasn't come out like clean in every issue that the World Bank has worked on, certainly. You're in a better position, but you always have to qualify your data and find data from multiple sources so that you can determine a consensus. And once you determine a consensus of information, that's where you can write expositorily, where you can write information in your own way, in your own words, to show you understand a concept or an idea. And then you can write argumentatively with authority. So I hope this information about evaluating data on the web has been helpful to start the discussion. If you have any questions about any of this, reach out and let me know.